Hello everybody, welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. Something a little bit different here. I always get the sort of like gut feeling when I'm not really getting a proper chance to just chat to you guys. And I've had a couple of thoughts and questions recently that popped up in my mind. And I was wondering if you guys wanted to get involved in these. So this is very different. I don't know how long this video is going to be. But there was a question that Hugh Woozencroft asked me yesterday. And actually, sorry, it wasn't even that. He demanded a video on it. So Hugh, I know you watch sometimes. If you are watching this one, I've probably sent you a link anyway. Here is the video that you demanded. He demanded a video, and we talk about Arsenal a little bit on the Ripple Effect this week. I really enjoyed the Ripple Effect this week. It was so interesting. Hugh was so good in it. We were talking about this sort of disciples of different managers, Pep and his influence. I might put a clip up on the channel, and if I have done, then go watch that. If not, go check out the whole podcast. Anyway, Hugh was asking about Arsenal. And he asked this question. He said, are Arsenal serious? Are they a serious team now? Because there's been so much sort of looking back in terms of, well, I guess it's the current moment, isn't it, as well? Where are Arsenal? You know, going forwards, that's the thing I want to ask you guys about. And what Hugh said is a fair question. It's fascinating. Are Arsenal a serious team right now? Because as I've said, the mental load has got to this team. It has. And that's why they haven't been able to get over the line. But if we have a look at the points from last season. Sorry. Arsenal were on 69 points by the end of the season. 69 points. They finished in 5th place. Because I think the points get forgotten about. And I think there's nuance to it. You've got to understand that in specific sections of the season, specific games, there's a different environment and you have to deal with those hurdles. So looking at points alone is unfair. But to not look at points at all, I think is also a little bit unfair. So what I would say is that the standard of which you have to get to and retain throughout the season is so high. Now, this is 93 points that Man City finished on last year. Liverpool finished on 92 points, sorry. I said in a video chatting with Flav, I said that, you know, what is not bottling it? And for me, not bottling it for Arsenal, I think it was after the West Ham game, was them getting to 90 points. And I think actually that's quite a fair way of putting it, because if we look at the table now, Arsenal on 81 points. Okay? Man City obviously can get past that 92 point marker. So they could hit the similar amount of points. And we're starting to see if you want to beat a prime Man City team, you've got to get over 92, 93 points, which is outrageous, really. Let's be honest. Absolutely outrageous. Arsenal are on 81 points this time. They can get to 87 points if they win their last 2 games. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I think... Sorry. I think with all these things, and this is often, you know, a theme of the channel, the answer is both when it comes to what Arsenal have done looking backwards. And what I want to really focus on is Arsenal going forwards, right? So Arsenal have bottled it, for me, in terms of the parameters that I put in place, because they need to get themselves to 90 points to have not bottled it from the situation that they found themselves in. That said, they are on 81 points. They can get to 87 points. And if we go back to that previous season, last season they were on 69 points. That is a huge jump. Even if we go into... we stop now and Arsenal don't get any more points. That is an amazing achievement. Amazing. Right? A huge leap. And at the top end of the table, to leap up that much is pretty special. And again, let's have a look at the other teams. Man United, who had an absolute disaster last season. 58 points last season. Currently on 66 points. So, nice, juicy jump for them. Obviously, Liverpool, massive retreat from 92 points down to 65 points this year, which again shows the competitiveness of the league. But they're on a cracking run right now, making that final push. Brighton have brought in some points here, and I think actually this middle zone says a lot. The fact that Brighton are getting the points they are, Brentford, Fulham, and I'm going to do a video actually talking about the stat that defines every Premier League team's season. So keep an eye out for that. If you're not new to the channel, if you are new to the channel, and if you're not new to the channel, either way, if you've not subscribed, make sure you do. But that's another discussion for another time. Arsenal have done fantastically in terms of, the goal difference, absolutely everything. Goal difference last season, 13. So these points are important. They have moved forwards. Getting to the point when it comes to the future of Arsenal, and that question at the start of the video is, are Arsenal serious? That's what I want to put to you guys. Arsenal fans, non-Arsenal fans. And what I will ask is that almost try and just cleanse yourself of, ag for a second. Just try and cleanse yourself of that, okay? And maybe let's, kind of be kind of the understanding, but also aware of the landscape moving forward. Because I think it's going to be a really tough season for Arsenal next year. And I think we'll find we'll understand the truth in terms of just how fluent they can continue to be, how they can improve both in the summer in terms of their recruitment and in adding more ingredients to the depth of the squad, but also the general broad development of a really young team. If you zoom out for a second and you go, okay, what was Arteta trying to do? You can see the change season on season. First of all, clearing the decks. Second of all, starting to put in place a clear understanding and blueprint of how Arsenal should play. And then thirdly, getting in those fantastic players to allow you to play that. Now, we're getting into the next stage of sort of a footballer's life, I believe, because this year has been sort of a summer holiday, a summer romance, right? And it was like, oh, I just can't believe it. And what if? And it was enjoyable, right? Young, vibrant team, just going for it, playing attacking, exciting football. But that tensing up that happens at this stage of the season for a lot of teams has now happened in back-to-back seasons for Arsenal. Obviously, the expectations were different. Because they'd done so well to get themselves to that point. But there's certainly something there that needs to be addressed in terms of being able to keep calm in the latter stages of the season when that tension is there. And back-to-back seasons, that has occurred. And that can't be happening a third time. So I think that is an additional pressure. And I think the expectations that will reveal themselves when we do this video in a year's time and have a look at where Arsenal are at is what should we be expecting from Arsenal moving forward? Because with the youth of that team, there's also a moment where you have to go, come on, you're not, yes, you're young, but you've shown the quality that you've got, so keep it going. Glenn Murray, I was chatting to him on ESPN last week, and we were talking about young players, and he was getting a bit annoyed at 22-year-olds being in this sort of young player conversation. And what I've found really interesting in that is that, someone who's in their 30s, I kind of look at it and go, God, they are still young. They're still figuring out. They're young. Glenn Murray wasn't having it. He wasn't having it. So, you know your body, I guess, by the age of 22. These players have been so drilled throughout their lives that, once you get to 22, 23, that's what Fergie used to do a lot of the time. He would look to pick up those players because he knew he was getting them at the start of their prime. So this Arsenal side, with the output that Martinelli has provided, the output that Saka has provided, Nketiah is not, he's not a kid anymore. Jesus certainly obviously isn't, you've got a lot of players in their prime, and players coming into their prime. Odegaard, of course, another one. Saliba and Gabriel both had a great season. But the Champions League and the league next season, it's going to be really, really interesting. And Arteta may have sort of caused a problem for himself. That's sort of one of the hurdles of success, is that when you have a good season, especially when you haven't got that same difficult European competition in terms of the Champions League, it allows you to rotate that a little bit better. But again, the opportunity was there, and they haven't taken it, and they will have to get to 90-odd points to win a title. So with this in mind, and this is where it gets a bit sad, really, is can anyone get... That is the question for next season. in terms of winning a title, can anyone get to 90 points aside from Manchester City? I'm looking at Man United, Arsenal, Liverpool as those teams who you would imagine could quite possibly. Chelsea feels like they're miles off. Tottenham certainly feel like they're absolutely miles off. And, Brian, if you want to chuck him in that conversation for a second, we'll get some players pinched next season. And the way that their team works, they'll obviously have to go and find little gems and hope that they thrive. But that's very difficult. And although sustainable in terms of winning titles, is unsustainable in terms of being able to get 90 points. So I just don't see it happening. But can Arsenal, do we have to put that pressure on Arsenal and understand that they are the new Liverpool, if you know what I mean, in terms of those challenges? That is my question. Are we taking Arsenal seriously? I don't know what my answer is. And I'm intrigued to know what yours is, guys. Are we taking Arsenal seriously now? Can they reach those same heights? Because they are heights. It's a massive jump from 69 points to quite possibly 87 and even 81. But can they do it again? With added pressure and added expectation. Because that's the other thing. Arsenal fans, you can't have all the we're a great team, and then when it all goes to pot, you go, well, they're kids. They're kids. You can't have it both ways. And a decision needs to be made now by yourselves, I think, and all of us collectively, because we talk about football a lot, is what are the expectations of this Arsenal side moving forward? And I think a points marker is fair. Because you don't know what's going to happen. For example, 66 points or 69 points this season, they finished on 69. 69 points might get you Champions League this year. Probably won't, because these guys will win games, right? But around the 70-point mark is close to getting you Champions League football. And that's what Arsenal did last season, finished 5th. So what is the points marker for Arsenal? Is it in that 80-point section? I think that's fair enough. I think you've got players that aren't at the end of their career. And I think moving forward, if they can cope better with the pressure, because they haven't, the evidence is there. But if they can cope with that pressure of expectation now, with a good team, young team that want to be winners, I think that 80-point bracket is where I see them right now. With the right additions, can they push to 90? Maybe. Time will tell. But I think this is a serious Arsenal team with some clear cracks in it, because they haven't delivered when the pressure has been on. Truly on. G. Neville's right. What do you guys think? Are you going to be taking Arsenal serious next season? Let me know in the comments down below. It's always a discussion. I will be looking at them all, and I'm intrigued to hear what you think about it.